All right, let's talk about something that's absolutely essential in cybersecurity today: penetration testing. You might have heard it called pen testing or even ethical hacking. At its core, it's all about one thing: finding the cracks in your digital armor before the bad guys do. So, let's dive right in.
Here's the game plan for today. We're going to start by sizing up the modern digital battlefield. Then we'll unpack what pen testing really is. After that, we'll get into the big debate: the creative human hacker versus the super fast machine. We'll see why the future is actually a hybrid of the two, walk through the standard playbook for a test, and then wrap up with your next move.
Okay, first things first. To really get why pen testing is so critical, you have to understand the world we're living in. Think of it as a digital battlefield, one that's constantly shifting, with new threats popping up all the time. And for any organization, the stakes have just never been higher.
This quote right here, it really hits the nail on the head. The whole mindset around security has changed. It's not about building some perfect, unbreakable fortress anymore. That's just not realistic. Today, it's all about being resilient, being prepared, and honestly, it's about knowing your own weaknesses even better than your enemies do.
And that's because the attacks themselves are just getting so much smarter. We're way beyond simple computer viruses now. We're talking about incredibly sophisticated ransomware, zero-day exploits. Yeah, those are vulnerabilities that nobody knows about yet, not even the people who made the software. And really clever social engineering to trick people. The bottom line is, your standard firewall just isn't going to cut it against this stuff.
So, if these kinds of attacks are pretty much inevitable, the real question is, what do you do? How do you possibly prepare for that? Well, that brings us right to the heart of our topic: the art of proactively looking for your own weak spots.
Put simply, penetration testing is a controlled, ethical hack on your own systems. The best analogy? It's a digital fire drill. You're intentionally simulating a real-world attack to see how your defenses actually perform under pressure. You find the holes, you see what breaks, and you figure out what to fix before a real criminal gets the chance.
So why bother? Well, the payoffs are massive. First, the obvious one: you find and fix problems before they get exploited. But it's more than that. For a lot of businesses, it's a must-do for compliance with regulations like ISO 27001 or DORA. Plus, think about your reputation. One bad breach can destroy customer trust. And maybe most importantly, it forces you to think like an attacker, which lets you build way smarter, more effective defenses.
All right, so when it's time to actually do a pen test, you've basically got two main flavors to choose from. And this is the classic showdown, right? It's the creative human mind going up against the raw power of a machine. Let's break down what that really means.
So, in one corner, you've got manual testing. This is where a seasoned security pro uses their experience, their intuition, and their creativity to try and break in, just like a real attacker would. And in the other corner, you have automated testing. This is where powerful software tools do the work, scanning huge systems at incredible speeds, looking for any known, documented weaknesses. The real magic of manual testing is its depth. A human expert can spot these weird, complex flaws in business logic that a machine would just never ever see. They can change tactics on the fly, but most importantly, they understand context. They don't just find a crack in the wall. They can tell you if that particular crack is about to bring the whole building down. Now, the trade-off? It takes more time and, yes, it costs more because you're paying for that expert brainpower.
Automated testing, on the other hand, is a beast when it comes to speed and scale. You can scan an entire global network for thousands of known issues in a tiny fraction of the time a human would take. It's fantastic for routine health checks, but it can't think outside the box. It will miss custom-built vulnerabilities, and it's famous for producing false positives, flagging things as problems when they're actually harmless. It just lacks that human judgment.
So when you put it all side by side like this, the trade-offs are crystal clear. You've got slow and deep versus fast and shallow, high accuracy versus high volume. So, which one do you choose? Well, it turns out that's the wrong question.
Because the real answer, the smartest answer in modern cybersecurity, isn't about choosing one or the other. It's about combining them into a powerful hybrid strategy.
And the logic here is just plain simple. You get the best of both worlds. You let the machines do what they do best, the heavy lifting. You use automated tools to run those broad, frequent scans to catch all the common stuff, the low-hanging fruit. Then you bring in your human experts, your specialists, to do a really deep dive on the crown jewels, your most critical, high-risk systems.
And this isn't just theory. Take the charity Breast Cancer Now. They needed to meet some tough compliance requirements, so they went with a hybrid approach.
Automated tools did a huge initial scan of their entire infrastructure, but for the really tricky, sensitive stuff, like identity systems and data encryption, they brought in human pen testers. Those are areas that demand human creativity to test properly. The result was a much more complete and reliable picture of their security posture.
Okay, so we've covered the what and the why. But what about the how? How does one of these tests actually work in practice? Well, it's not just random hacking. There's a method to the madness. Professionals follow a standardized playbook to make sure that job gets done right.
And a lot of that playbook comes from an organization called OWASP. They're basically a global nonprofit full of the good guys, all working to make software more secure for everyone. They provide all these free resources and methodologies, and when it comes to web security, their guidelines are pretty much the gold standard for the entire industry.
A typical pen test follows these 5 phases. It all starts with pre-engagement, which is just the planning stage, defining the scope, setting the rules of engagement. Next is intelligence gathering. You can think of this as the team casing the joint, learning everything they can about the target. Then comes threat modeling and analysis, where they actively start rattling the doorknobs and looking for weak points. The 4th step, exploitation, is where they carefully try to step through an open door, just to prove it can be done. And finally, and this is arguably the most important part, is reporting and remediation, where they give you a detailed blueprint of what's broken and exactly how to fix it.
And you know, this playbook isn't just for old-school server rooms. It's completely adaptable to the cloud. For environments like AWS, the principles are exactly the same, but the focus shifts a little. Testers need to understand cloud-specific concepts, like the shared responsibility model. And they're often hunting for simple misconfigurations in services that can leave a massive hole open. And with so many companies moving to the cloud, this has become a huge piece of the puzzle.
We have covered a ton of ground. So let's wrap this all up and talk about what this really means. It's all about making a critical shift in your thinking. From simply having security measures in place to having security that is proven to work.
So if you walk away with anything today, let it be these 4 key takeaways. Number 1, cybersecurity is never one and done. It's a continuous process. 2, penetration testing is your best proactive defense for finding weaknesses before attackers do. 3, a hybrid approach using both man and machine is the smartest strategy. And finally, number 4, following a standardized methodology like OWASP's is how you ensure a test is actually worthwhile.
And all of that leaves us with one final crucial question. You might have your firewalls, you might have your antivirus, you might have all your policies in place. You feel secure, but have you actually proven it? Has it been tested against a skilled, simulated, real-world attack? That's the powerful question that penetration testing is designed to answer. Thanks for joining me.